and gentlemen, welcome to Fashion Avenue News, where only the best will do. I'm your host, Sophia Davis, and today we have an absolutely amazing guest for you. But before we dive into our interview, we have to say hello to our sponsors. We'll be right back in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on Fashion Avenue News, and I'm excited to be interviewing, to me, the king of style, the guy himself who wears amazing outfits, Jonathan Bodrick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sophia. How are you?
I am doing well, Jonathan, and I appreciate your time. So we're going to dive right into our interview. Now, let's talk about the beginnings. How did you begin in fashion?
How, at the okay. How did I begin in fashion? People, as corny as it might sound, and how people say, I remember when I was in first grade. So I'm 5, and I had a teacher named Miss Prescott, and she was very African and centric and with dashiki. She had an afro, and I came home. I was so excited, and I asked my mother if I can look through her jewelry box, her jewelry drawer, because she had a drawer full of jewelry, so I can bring Miss Prescott a gift. So I wasn't one of those kids who wanted an apple for the teacher. Like, I knew she'll want accessories. So
That is amazing.
as I'm going through her drawer and I'm looking, and she has, costume pearls, other, little, and just going through it. Then I saw a wooden piece, and I knew that specifically would be for her. How do you know that at 5? Like, I knew that
Exactly.
it's more earthy, it's more ethnic. It kind of fit her aesthetic. And that was the piece that I chose for her.
That is amazing. So at 5 years old, you already had a sense of style already. It's just kind of like born into you. And maybe it's, kind of the people you are around. I know that at one point you were saying you used to look to your grandfather and your uncles and the people that really dressed, they were sharp
Oh,
dressers.
oh,
Talk about
yes.
that.
Oh, yes. My dad and my uncles, they were. So we have to remember, they're from South Carolina. So everybody came over to New York. First, my Uncle Zeke, he opened up a soul food restaurant in Bedford-Stuyvesant, and they drove Cadillacs, smoked cigars, and dressed impeccably. So that was like the Bodrick men. Everybody like dressed, and everybody, drove a big car and had a cigar, and it was all about it was, like back then, it was all about that era of the men being dressed. Because my mom's very conservative. She's
Mhm.
very, she'll shop with the catalog. Like, she was just about, it wasn't about the high end, whatever, just something that looked good, and she didn't. But my dad was very different. He had a suit. He worked construction, and he was a welder. And when he left the house, he had a attaché case, a briefcase, and always like a blazer or a jacket on, and you would never know that he was a welder. It was all about image. and how they look and presented themselves. They were proud Black men.
And that's amazing because,
Yes.
sometimes today, you know, it seems like people just throw something on. They don't take the time to look at how they look. Like you see some guys with pants hanging down. Not that there's anything wrong with that if that's the style they want. But when you see a man in a suit, it's almost like, wow,
Oh, yeah.
because you don't see that anymore.
Yes, it does say something.
Now, when you got your allowance as a young person interested in fashion, your teacher kind of sparked it or was in you already from seeing all this style around you. What did you
Right.
do with your money? Did you, go like other kids and just buy candy?
First of all, with the allowance, it was never enough for me, right? Because I had a very specific taste. So with that allowance, I would flip it. And I'm so glad you're bringing this up because it's bringing back so much. So I would flip it. I would get candy, right? But I looked when I was in middle school, we weren't allowed to leave out to go in like for lunch.
Mhm.
Everything, once you're in, you were in. So
Mhm.
you ate there, then you went to your next period. And I said, people can't go outside. I started selling candy, little Kit Kats and Skittles during the break with the thing. I was able to buy my first pair of contact lenses. They were glass back then. It wasn't even plastic. Glass contact lenses. I bought a designer leather jacket and just kept flipping that money over because I knew what, like my taste was different and I knew what I wanted. So I used that allowance to flip it to make more money to get exactly what I wanted.
Well, that is wonderful because you were like an entrepreneur back when maybe the word wasn't even invented, so to speak. And you had the sense of, you know what, this is what I want. So I'm going to have to do something to increase this allowance. And you
Absolutely.
turned around and you bought like all your designer things. And I think that that is like, that's a lot when you're young to really, be that, like, this is what I want. I love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Jonathan Bodrick. We're going to be right back in just a moment on Fashion Avenue News. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on Fashion Avenue News, and we are talking to the king of style, Jonathan Bodrick. And Jonathan, you are just so impressive. I'm so happy to have you here. Talk a little bit about your journey as a celebrity videographer. You did a lot of work, MTV, VHS, Access Hollywood, and you just did a wonderful job. Talk about that.
Well, you're taking me back. So I guess now it's over maybe 2 decades. My brother had a production company back then,
Mm-hmm.
and he started. My sister used to work for Fox TV, the network for Fox. She did finance for them, and during that time they had a show. I don't know if you remember called Current Affair. Current
Oh,
Affair.
yeah.
They had the celebrity news and the fashions and all of that. So my brother one day asked her, who submits the footage of like the celebrity stuff? She says, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. She got back to my brother, told them of how, the independent people just bring the content to them. And my brother got a video camera and he started staking out places that he thought like of restaurants outside or at different talk shows of, backstage where the guests are coming in or coming out. And he would videotape and then submit it to Current Affair. And from then on, he started his own production company. Later on, he brought his brother aboard, me, and then I started shooting. And that was such an amazing experience in time of my life, because my first assignment was the Met Gala. And this is in 1997. I'm all starstruck, and you hear, it's like, Jennifer, over here, this one over here. And it's like things that I've seen on television, like I'm actually there, in the Grammys and David Letterman, and then, and then all the access and the credentials. And as you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, well, I've been to some of them, but not as much as you.
Yeah, but the excitement of just being in that environment, being born and raised in Brooklyn, and only imagining, and it was a dream. And you feel as if that when you're there, you know what? And when people say, like, when you're there, it's different in this whole thing. My experience has always been wonderful, amazing, exciting. Every day was different. So yes, every day I had a different assignment to go to see a different person, to do a book signing, the president. Like I did it all, and it was always beyond my wildest dreams. And I was always like a little boy, starstruck, even from doing it for over 17 years during that time.
And that's amazing, because sometimes people dream of like going to the Met Gala or handling different assignments, but they never step out on stage. And you've done that. You stepped out on stage. I mean, your brother helped you, but that's what families are for, And you took it to a whole new level. Talking about a whole new level with your love for antique garments and things like that, going to the thrift shop. You did a show at Alice Tully Hall, and you paired up with a chef. Let's talk about that, because I found that was quite interesting to me.
Oh, wow. You dig really deep.
I do my homework. I do my homework.
So Marcus Samuelson was starting the Red Rooster up in Harlem. Mm-hmm. So that was the big, because Harlem's a small community and a buzz. And especially since I'm an entrepreneur there, the buzz is, this guy, the celebrity chef, is opening up the Red Rooster, which was right across the street from my boutique. So I'm like, really? Okay, and investigate him and who he is. Lo and behold, of course, I got him to come into the shop, and he became a regular at the store. And Marcus and I have the same aesthetics as far as style. He's very open with, he's not like a man of like, no, I'm not going to wear that. Like he's very open. He loves texture. He loves color. He likes things that are different. So he was perfect. So during that time of having that rapport with him, he was opening up something at Lincoln Center. I think he was introducing his street food during that time. Mm-hmm. And so in the grand opening during New York Fashion Week at Lincoln Center, he's like, Jonathan, I would love for you to show some things during that time. And I'm kind of thinking, well, I'm not a designer per se. I have a boutique. Yeah. And he's like, no, it's fine. Like, bring your stuff, bring your crew, and let's do a presentation. Like, we had a runway show at Alice Tully Hall in Lincoln Center during Fashion Week. Like, that was another beyond my wildest dreams. And it's almost like I'm Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump, and he's doing things like, I'm just going along. I'm just doing, oh my God, how did I end up here? Just like end up, and then the next thing happened, and somebody tells you something else, and the next thing. For me, I've learned from my experience, it's just showing up. Showing up.
Being ready. Showing up and being ready. When somebody says, let's go, you can grab it and go. You don't have to, it's being ready. And I love that. I mean, I absolutely love that, from just knowing you, and you're always ready. You're always on point. You're always like, boom, boom, boom. And I love that. It's like, I look at you like, if I was a man, I would be like you. on point, doing things. I mean, you used to do a pop-up shop when you first started, right? Now you didn't have a boutique at that time. Was that you didn't have a boutique and you used to do the pop-ups?
We
Did you do
start.
pop-up shops?
I certainly
And
did.
then you
But
got
look,
something in the Bronx,
but
the boutique in the
they
Bronx?
they weren't calling it pop-ups. So I
Okay.
just saying I used to do a shopping party a couple of times a month. And now they came out with, oh, pop-up, pop-up, pop-up. I've been popping up before it was the pop-up. You know what I mean? We so
Yes.
we had in the South Bronx back then, one stop away from 125th Street on the 6th train. My brother had a production company that was there. So when we were renting out the space, we had another space. We had the office and then a space for either small parties or for photo shoots. So I came to my brother and I proposed to him and said, when we're not renting the space out, I would love to have a shopping party. He said, sure. So I gathered all the things that I've collected through the years and called my friends, because doing that we didn't have there was no
There was no
social
Instagram. There was
media.
no social media. You had to get on
No,
the
it was
phone to beat.
you
You
had
had
to
to
call
beat somebody.
you have to call your friends up, you know.
Mm,
It wasn't even really the texting and all of that. Like
no,
it wasn't that advanced. So I'm literally
no.
calling people and people used to show up and it was all friends and family. And then they would just buy and we have, little hors d'oeuvres and little hors d'oeuvres. We used to go to Subway sandwiches, cut up the big thing, cut them all and whatever, and put the fancy toothpicks in there and put it around the thing. Those are the hors d'oeuvres, and get a little Entenmann's cake, and then you have to
Yes,
cut it up, but then you garnish it around to make it look like we were doing it. And people just appreciated that. It was more of like, and I've learned
that
that
is.
people appreciate my energy and my enthusiasm for the clothes that I curate and put in the shop. It's they can tell the love and the thought that I put into it. So that was very successful during that time.
Yeah, and that's fantastic because at least you had the idea to do the shopping, for people to come and just do a shopping day or whatever. That's good that you had the thought because that's a great way to kind of sell stuff when you don't have, per se, a store right away.
Right.
That was a
Absolutely.
great way. And I love it. Now, talk about opening Born on 125th, East 125th Street. Talk about opening the actual first store on East 125th.
Well, actually, the first store wasn't on East. This first store was on West 52nd, 52 West 125th, between,
Excellent.
and then we moved right down the block to the east after 10 years. So as I mentioned, I'm a videographer shooting celebrities, and most of my gigs were during the evening. Events happen at the evening, but during the day, I used to hang out with my friend Romel, who was a celebrity makeup artist. And there was a shop on 125th Street, and he told me, he said, why don't you I know you're doing the shopping parties in the bar. Why don't you bring a rack of clothes over the weekend and just sell it? No, nobody has to know. Like, we didn't even tell the landlord. So I used to bring a rack of clothes like Friday evening and take them out Sunday night. So I would do this and people started coming and stuff. I'm in the city now, I'm in Harlem, and people will come. So not in my wildest dreams, because look, I'm shooting celebrities, I'm making money off of being a videographer. I'm doing shopping parties. I don't know if I want a boutique, but then it just, people are just coming and saying, so when are you going to do it again? When are you going to do it again? So eventually we had to tell the owners. It was a big space. So I mentioned and said, can I speak to the landlords? He said, sure. Had a meeting with them. So now I'm officially in the store, but they charge me for month to month. Because I'm not committing to, like, I don't really want a boutique. Like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
People kept coming and saying, you need your own shop. You need your own. So after month to month, for maybe, it didn't last that long, like 6 months, I proposed to I said, can I have a lease for a year? They said, sure. A lease for a year. A year went by quick. Can I have a 2-year? Sure. But during all this time of conversations, I'm in the back of their store. When they see of the crowd that's coming in, I eventually broke down a wall, the permission, of course, broke down the wall. So now I'm like half of the store. As it ended and I did a 5 to 10-year lease, people identified their store as B.O.R.N Vintage, who sold their cosmetics. So it was a win-win for both of us because it was like a mini department store, because you come in, you had the cosmetics, and as you go down, you can shop. So it just worked. And I was there for 10 years, not knowing that that was something that I wanted to really do or commit myself to.
But you did a wonderful job with that because
Thank
the
you.
thing is, it was something unique. It was something different. And I think that
Yes.
that's one of the things that it's not like were copying off of H&M or you did anything like that. These were things that, you were really, it's unique. It's your style, it's your taste. You're putting your kind of touch on it. So if someone comes in to buy something, you can help them put something together.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is the amazing thing about the whole thing. Ladies
Thank you.
and gentlemen, we're talking with Jonathan Bodrick, and we're going to be right back in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Fashion Avenue News. My guest tonight is the king of style, Jonathan Bodrick, Born to Style. Now, Jonathan, talk a little bit about the Born to Style client. Who is the Born to Style client? I mean, it's almost like a private shopping club.
Yeah. The born to style client would be someone who's looking for something different, that they don't want to look just like anybody else. Even to this day, I rarely go into departments because look, you see it, it's on the rack, and then they have 20 of the same thing. It just doesn't feel special, especially if you're spending money. It's like, I want to see, not to take away from like the H&Ms, because I will get a piece there, and then kind of mix it up. But the client at Born to Style was very eclectic in their thinking. They were looking for something unusual, something different, and something to stand out. Whether it be a necklace, some shoes, a dress, I've always had pieces that was everything that I curated and thought that that was special for my clients. And when I shopped, it was so funny. After a while, I had like, if I shopped for you, I'm like, oh my God, I know Sophia would love this. So then immediately I'm calling Sophia, you need to come in. I just got it. And like, oh my God, like it's gotten to the point, even now to today, without having the boutique of brick and mortar, I still have clients that I will say, oh my God, I have this dress. Oh my God, I have that. Of where? Because thank God for PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, like all the
Exactly.
things. They're paying me, Sophia, without even looking at it. And I will
Because
ship it to them. Or
they
they would
trust
come
you.
by and pick it up.
They
Just for
trust
me
you.
say, just they trust me.
And that, you know what? That is the best thing you can have when you have a client. That client trusts you. You
Absolutely.
know their style. You know
Yes.
what they want. You know what they like. You know what's going to fit them. You know what goes with it.
Yes.
You can put it all together and send it to them. They don't have to do anything.
I have clients who their whole families, the mother, the father, their daughter, and their son shop with me. And it's so fun because the daughter is a teenager, but she wears the same shoe size as her mom. The dad is a musician, so he's very eclectic in his style. And then the boy is very eclectic and just it's just they're just really like a real funky kind of family. And every
Yeah.
they like they look forward to coming to Jonathan. Like that feels like it's a day. We're gonna go out to eat, then we're gonna go to Bourne. And I have like two families like that. I have couples that come to me and they're shocked. So it's that whole experience is just like it's amazing to me.
Yeah, and it's almost like kind of like a getaway, almost like, we're going to Jonathan's, we're going to Born to Stop. It's almost like,
Yes,
how people would plan a vacation. We're going,
yes,
they have dinner, and then it's like going to dinner and the theater, but you're the theater. You know what I'm
yes,
trying to say?
yeah,
Your store is the theater. And I think that that is fabulous because it's great to have people of all ages to dress. And I like what you said with the teenager and the son and the whole family. That's
yes,
amazing. And
yes.
did, are those the type of people and those are the type of customers and clients that led to Born to Style, the TV show? Because that's a great show, Born to Style.
What's so again, and I guess this is my Forrest Gump moment. I was at the Red Rooster
Mm-hmm.
and Marcus introduces me to everyone. And he said, this is John. Oh my God. He said, and I met someone that was there. And so I left it at that. Then weeks later, a woman comes in and I recognize her. And she's actually a producer. And she came in and saying that she wanted me to consider and think about being on a show. And the show needed a pop. It just needed something. And they felt that I was that something that it was missing. And I said, oh my God, my brother's been filming me for like we were taking footage. I always had footage and film. I've always had that on the back burner, not knowing what you're going to do with it. I
Mm-hmm.
told her, she said, can I take a look at the footage? She then had a meeting with my brother and I. We showed her the footage and she says, we have something here. Went to her producing people and everything. And it took a while. Within months, we actually were on A&E with a TV series under my name of my store, Born to Style, and I got my own show. And it's running in 68 countries still right now, Sophia.
You should be so proud of yourself. That is so amazing. That's one of the things I always, admired about you. I always admire from afar because I know you're always busy. So we've never had a lot of time to talk. But I tell you, that's one of the things I always admired. I look up to you for that because kind of go with it. Like you're not a person that uh you're not afraid to try it. You go with it. And you're like, you know what? She want to see the footage. Let me show her the footage. I'm ready. I got the footage in the back, whatever, whatever. You show the footage, you got a TV show, and you're ready. And this is one of the things, and it's different. You've got your own unique style. I never forget the time I saw you on 125th. I don't think you saw me, but I think because you were across the street. And you had on this outfit and had sneakers that tied up to the knee. And I looked at those sneakers. I said, that's Jonathan. I said, that is the king of style right there. And I was walking with my friend. I said, that is Jonathan. That is the guy that's on Born to Style. I know. She said, well, how do you know it's him? I said, I know those. He's the only one that knows how to wear those sneakers. And we just were screaming for you, but we were across the street. So we didn't get a chance to talk, but I always have admired that.
Thank
about you with your style and the classy way that you do things. Talk a little bit about other cast members on Born to Style. Who are some of the cast members?
Well, first was my partner Terry, and then it was Brandon, who Brandon was the last one to join the team. He's from Arkansas, country as all get out, right? Just he interned, he worked a full-time job, Sophia, full-time job. On his days off, he would intern, not being paid, and come to Born on his days off. He did this for at least 2 years. 2 years, full-time job, and on his days off would come to Born. And there was just something about his personality that I told him when I met him, this is way before Born to Style. I said, stick around. Don't leave. I said, stick around. And he stuck around. And he ended up being on a TV show with me. And then I had my godson and a few other the cast members, but we were the main ones that was featured. And it was, look, when they were pitching the show to different networks, like you could have a show idea, but it's like, where's it going to land? So then you have to have a production company to back you or an entertainment attorney, and then you go out pitching. So people who passed on the show said, we love the cast. We loved how you got, you cast the people. And they said, no, this is really a shop on 125th Street. It's not, they're not casted. They are friends and know each other. They're like, oh, yeah. They didn't believe of the job. Because every element of a show, you have to have the person who is outgoing. Then you have the big mouth. Then you have the one who's not that responsible. You have the funny, like there is a chemistry of a character that you have to have for a show. And every single person that was at Born hit the mark on the character of the person that they needed for a TV show. That's how come people couldn't believe, is that real? Is that a real store? And it was. That was something.
That's the fabulous thing, that you weren't faking anything. These are the people. This is how we do things. This is every day. This one has a big mouth. This one, this one, that. And it was real characters. So even though they were kind of like acting, they were being themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is something that's fabulous. Now, do you have a favorite episode?
I have several favorite episodes. There was an episode with a woman named Coco, and she was corporate. She worked corporate. Everything was very, very Brooks Brothers. She had pinstripe shirts and a jacket that was gray, black, brown. But deep down, she really was a creative, and she wanted to be a filmmaker.
Wow.
So, and she did not share this until off camera, and I told her that she probably should, because it will bring it all together and it'll be more authentic. Mm-hmm. So she said she received a phone call that her sister called and said, and she was busy, because she's corporate, she's working. She said, I'll speak to her another time. The next call that she got was that her sister had committed suicide. And she kept that guilt with her because her sister was prescribed the wrong medication, and one of the side effects was suicide. And so she adopted her sister's kids, and she took on this corporate job because she had guilt and responsibility. So that's where she was very corporate, and she was doing this, but it was eating her inside because that's who she was. So then we got her to try on different clothes, and she just felt so good and so free about it. So like, it was women like that with these stories. There was another woman who owned a vineyard. Mm-hmm. She owned a wine vineyard, and she had designer clothes. Mm-hmm. She lived in this fabulous New York apartment. and everything in her closet was black. And we were kind of like, why is it with the black? She said she remembered when she was in middle school, she wanted these high, thigh-high boots. And the mother said, dear, that's very impractical. That doesn't make sense. We need to be practical. And she's always remembered that. It's not practical. Like what mother said, it's not practical. And so she played it safe all her life. And we introduced florals and colors and prints to her and sort of gave her permission to just be herself. Because it's the things that we hear, from the back. Look, you're too dark skinned to wear that red lipstick.
Exactly.
You're too this, you're too that, of things that we carry with us that we subconsciously don't even understand why we do it. Mm-hmm. So that was the premise of the show. And it was always exciting to meet these new clients. And it wasn't like I knew them before, or, they like had me talk to them prior and then we're on camera. Like I'm meeting them for the first time when they come in. Like how you see it with the show, it's like, oh, okay, I'm meeting them and going on this trip of unraveling and getting to the root of what it is. It was not just the show of fashion. It was, you have to watch it. We actually have it on. More. Yeah, Born to Style is actually on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon Prime and Apple
really?
TV.
Oh, I have Amazon Prime. I'm gonna watch it.
Yes, just do Born.
I saw a couple of episodes.
Yes.
I saw a couple of episodes when I think you guys went to someone's closet and was pulling stuff out, I think. Yes. But I don't know what episode it was, but I saw a couple of episodes, but I am definitely gonna watch it. And I think that that's amazing because you see, with the show, you're not just going and making over the outside. Right. You're actually making over the inside if you think about it, because that lady that had the guilt from the suicide by, helping her, yes. You're letting her release that guilt.
Yes.
Because she always wanted to be creative. She always wanted to do this and that, but she played it safe because now she's got these kids. She's got to look out. She feels guilty, but you help her heal in yes. a way that you probably didn't even know you were doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing.
I know what I was doing.
No, I know you know what you're doing. No, but I'm saying with her, she probably didn't realize that would release that guilt in her. Because, some people don't even know where the pain is coming from. Like when you said, when the girl, was told by the mother, you got to be practical. And it stayed with her. Yes. And she's thinking practical means black, 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 or whatever, or just, I can't do this or that. When you're showing her, listen, you can bring out some creativity. You can add some flowers. You can add a little color. It doesn't mean you're not still practical. Right. You're just spicing it up a bit.
Yes.
That sort of thing. So I think that's amazing. Now, is the show still airing or on hiatus? What's going on?
It's airing because we did 14 episodes for like 2 seasons, but they didn't pick it up in the US. So it's airing in other countries. And how I find out of the countries, people will direct message me on social media. I have clients during the pandemic from social media. I'm sending things out to Australia, to this other guy that was in Milwaukee somewhere. Like people are still watching it as if it's the first time. Times I forget, I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, I just saw the show. I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting.
But that's amazing because it's almost taken a life of its own.
Yes.
It's taking on a life of its own. And the people love it. They love your idea. They love what you're doing as far as, revamping. And I love the fact that I feel like you're healing people and you're getting them in touch with things in their inner selves that they may never even realize is the problem. And that is bigger than anything you can put on the outside of them. And I think you're doing a wonderful job with that, Jonathan. I mean, really. I mean, I've always admired you, but that even brings more admiration from me because you're changing people's lives.
Yes.
You're changing their lives. You're letting them heal. And I just think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's my ministry and my service. Yes, I feel
I
like
mean,
fashion is my ministry of what I do. And I wouldn't do it otherwise because clothes, fashion, it fades after a while.
yeah.
It's the longevity of how we're feeling while we're in the clothes and about why we wear them or why we're so afraid. And a lot of people, as you know, look at that hat and glasses that you're wearing. People
And
will
I'm not
admire,
afraid, right?
people admire you and
Oh,
they'll
thank
say,
you.
I couldn't do that, even though they want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so then like you give permission to a lot of women that you don't even know.
Thank you, Jonathan. I
Yes, you do.
appreciate that so much.
You
I
do.
appreciate that. Thank you. That is
Yes.
amazing. Now, how can people support Wonder Style? You said they can watch it on Prime. Uh, is there a
And
website
Apple
or
TV.
yeah, say that again?
You could if you look up Born to Style, if you just Google it, it has different like Apple TV, Prime, and it has a list of where you can actually buy all the episodes or get clips of the episodes to check it out and to see it.
That's fabulous. And as far as the store, I know that I don't know. Do you still do the brick and mortar, or is it more virtual now?
Oh no, not the brick and mortar. After we filmed the show and I wanted a different because people are not from it's cute when you like, oh, I own my own boutique. Okay,
Yeah,
that's cute, but you become married to it. That's your life.
that's
That's what
right.
you do. You're married, like my boutique is me. So
You have
I
to
don't
go
care
all the
who
time.
I
You have to
have,
be there.
you become. So I would have people in the store if I'm not there and they say, well, when is he coming in? Like people came to see me. So
Yeah.
that it becomes exhausting after you did it for like a decade. It's like, ooh, like I don't want to go and do I have to open up again and I have to be there again? Like that's your business. You become
Yeah.
your business. So look, I took another leap of faith. And when I shut it down, I started and I'm blessed. I live in the city. So I'm in a central location. Right now, I'm in my showroom. That's my apartment. So
Wonderful.
private clients that I know. And if I don't want to bring them upstairs, I'm able to be downstairs and I have a space that's downstairs and I do it that way. And guess what? It's no overhead, first of all, no overhead.
Right.
And it
That's right.
depends on now it's very specific. So
Mm-hmm.
if I know, so and so is coming, I'm pulling her this, I'm pulling her that, and she's gonna spin because it's like, oh, it's just exclusive, it's just for me, and for that exclusivity, people are paying more. So I'm winning either way without the overhead and without feeling as if that I'm married to a business. Like, look, I'm happily divorced.
And I think that that's amazing because the thing is, like you said, no overhead, no insurance, all that stuff that comes with a brick and mortar. And because it's virtual, you can almost reach anybody in the world. I mean, people all over the world,
Yes,
they can be in Africa and buy something from you. They don't have to come in the store per se. They can still
absolutely.
buy something from you because the way social media is today, you're reaching everyone.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I think that's amazing, Jonathan. Well,
Thank
I want to thank you for being with us today. I just have one last thing, and that is any inspirational advice you could give to people that look up to you. They admire what you're doing. They're like, he did it. I can do it. Any inspiration?
Well, first of all, I would always want to inspire people and let them know that just to be yourself, to be your authentic self. And if you don't know what that means, it's always good to ask a very close family member or friend that will be around you and know who you are. Because sometimes we have to just step back and the people in our lives can tell us who we are, of our liabilities and our assets. Be ready though. And the change
Yeah,
is not easy, right? The change
that's
isn't
right.
easy, but when it's coming from someone that you respect, that's going to honestly tell you the truth. And then from that, then it builds up such a self-esteem thing that I can start wearing color, or I can start wearing prints, or I can like wear those glasses. You know, people would be like, oh, yo, I love those glasses. I couldn't wear them though. Like, why can't you wear it? You know, like, I don't like
Yeah,
the fear is so deep. And these days and times, as we know, Sophia, that people are passing right before our eyes.
that's
Like,
right.
look, like what Maria Antoinette says, eat the cake. Just
That's
eat the
right.
dessert first. Like, live life. And if you're going to do it colorfully, do it bold, and be authentic. Because authenticity is the best accessory that you can wear, because people can see through if you're being phony, right? They can.
Excellent. Yes, that is so right. That is
Yes.
so right. And I mean, I love that. And I know that our viewers and stuff will like that, because a lot of times people are afraid. Like, I wear this kind of stuff. I wear feather glasses. I mean, you see my crazy outfit.
Yes.
You know, you see me at the beauty shows. I got all kind of feathers and ostrich feather on. People like, who gonna wear that? I go. I don't care who's gonna wear it. They be looking at me laughing. Some people like it, some people don't. But guess what? I'm comfortable and I'm not afraid to wear it. I'm comfortable in my own skin, because this is my skin and I'm just comfortable in it.
Did it take, how long did it take to be that comfortable though?
Well, you know what happened, and I will tell you a turning point when it actually happened. I remember when I was in high school, and I think I was in 10th grade. And I had an aunt that used to come over all the time. You know, every weekend she'd take me to get my nails done. And you know, one day she took me out on the terrace and she told me to look outside. And what did I see? I said, well, I see some people on the steps. I mean, I don't know what she wanted me to see. I'm a kid. What do I know? And so she said, you know what? You have choices in life. You can be like them or you could be different. So I'm like, what's wrong with them? Like, they didn't look like they were doing anything wrong. She said, you could be ordinary or you could be extraordinary. Now, you have to make a choice. And from that day to this, that is when I changed. That's when I no longer cared. That's when I didn't care what they said. When we took our graduation pictures, you know how they do the yearbook?
Yes.
I wore a Fredericks of Hollywood jumpsuit, red, a Japanese jumpsuit. Everybody else in their little skirts and stuff. I had on a body hugging jumpsuit. And of course, I'm a size 4 or something in high school. And there I am. And when everybody was lining up, I sprawled across the floor, or across the floor. And now I'm in high school now. I'm crazy. Everybody trying to get situated, like, you know, and I'm the shortest one. So the teacher's putting everybody. So I laid across the floor. So he stepped up, you know, he stepped back and he looked and saw the picture. He said, Sophia, I said, this is my position. And I stayed right there. And that is the picture of my high school yearbook. And I just didn't care anymore. When my aunt said that to me, what it did for me is say, you have the right to be who you are. That's what it said. That's how I interpreted it. So ever since then, I was always the odd person, where I would wear like the hat that I have on, the glasses. I used to wear wooden Dutch shoes, real wooden Dutch shoes. Nobody was wearing that. Girls were wearing Converse sneakers or sneakers with their outfits, matching the outfit with the sneakers. They would wear jeans. I'd never wear jeans. I'd never wear pants. I would never wear pants. Oh no, I would never wear pants. And why? Because one time my aunt said to me, I think I was putting on jeans or whatever. And she said to me, she looked at me and she was like, you know, it really doesn't take much to dress up a pair of jeans. But now if you had on a dress, and I looked at her and I was, ever since then, I never wore a pair of jeans from that day. So this is how little things that people say to you stay in
Yes.
your head.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? Like what you were saying, it stays in your head. And this is why I don't wear pants to this day. I don't wear
Wow.
pants. And that's why. And, and it's been
So you
all
are
my
the
life
real deal from high school.
from high school.
I love that. I
From
love
high
that.
school.
See, your
Yeah,
aunt gave you permission
to be
to be
myself.
yourself. That's wonderful.
And that's how I interpret what she was saying. She was
Yes,
like, you could be like anybody else, or you could create your own. And I didn't know style at that time, but you could create your own style. You could be your own self. Because I didn't
yes.
know anything about style or too much about fashion. So then I started, I looked at Fredericks of Hollywood. I wasn't even supposed to have that catalog. And I ordered me a jumpsuit. I didn't even know
Yes,
what size I wore. But I figured, okay, I got to be a medium or a small. I was like a size 4.
yes.
And ever since then, and everybody loved the picture. People were coming to me, oh, sign my book, sign my book. Is that you? Oh my God.
Did you go to school in New York?
Yes, I did. I went to
Oh,
Ben Franklin High School. I went to private school for 2 years. And
uh-huh.
then when my mom passed away, I went to public school because I wanted to be here with my family.
Yes,
My dad and my aunt and them, I didn't want to stay because I was at, I was away school. I was in like an academy where,
okay,
like in Pennsylvania. So
yes,
I didn't live at home. I lived like on campus.
yes.
And that was high school.
Wow.
So, you know, yeah.
And then when did the idea come up that you would get into fashion? Because you said I wasn't really into it, and then doing what you're doing now, like that's a big jump.
No, well, I was into fashion, but I didn't know it. Like, you know
Okay.
how you could like I always liked different things. I never liked to look like anybody. I would, do wear makeup and the best I knew how and stuff like that. But I will tell you one thing that was a turning point when I was about your age, between like 3 and 5, there's something that happened to me that, made me realize I was different. My mother was teaching us how to cook. And, everybody's sitting in the kitchen. So what I would do is, as she was instructing, I would ease away, ease away till I got to the staircase in the house and I'd run up the steps. And I'd sit in front of her vanity and I'd put the makeup on and I'd brush my hair. I didn't know what I was doing. Then one day she had Chanel number 5. I never forget that.
Yes,
And I poured it all over me. I didn't know you're supposed to dab it. I don't know. I'm a kid.
yes.
And my mother screamed from the bottom of the stairs, girl, I know you're not my Chanel number 5.
Because
And I
that
sat
wasn't
there.
cheap. That was not cheap.
I was like, oh my God. And she said it took like 3 days to wash the perfume off of me. And I was like 5 years old. So I think that also is a turning point because I remember taking so many baths. I didn't know why I was taking the baths. I smelled good to me. So
Yes.
I don't know what I was getting so many baths for, but she had to wash the perfume off of me.
Oh my
It was
God.
crazy. So, those are some of the things that, made me kind of like the way I am. And then with the television, I'm a person that likes to talk anyway. So all you got to do is give me a platform. Because, see, I'm not scared. I'll get up. I don't care. You could drop me in China. I'm going to meet somebody to talk to.
Yes.
That's my personality. So I just talk. I mean, we could be in Madison Square Garden. You could say, you know what, Sophia, I need you to go up there and introduce so and so. And I'll get right up out of my seat and go. I don't
Wow.
have to know who it is. I just make up something. You know what I mean? And get the name right. So I don't have a fear of, anything. I mean, I used to get on the train with the glasses. And it's funny because this is really funny. People on the train talk about you. You know how they do. Like,
Oh yeah.
you see people and you got on something what they consider weird. So they
Right.
would talk about me. You know what I would do? I would go right over there and stand in front of them so they could get the full effect. Because, darling, let me stand over here since you want to talk and see what I have on. Let me stand over you so you can get the full effect, darling. Because, see, you're not getting the full effect yet. And I would go right there. I never ran from like any kind of controversy or people that would laugh. And people wouldn't laugh because who's walking around with feathers on their glasses?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
funny to them, but to me, this is my style, and I own it.
But you're way above. You were way above your time with that. because you were doing that and what you're doing now, that people are catching up. Do you notice that?
Yes.
People are catching up. Like, you're like doing this in the Frederick to Hollywood, the whole thing. When people have you looked in magazines or online and looking at things, you're like, child, I did that when I was. They
Yes.
bringing stuff
Yes.
back like it's something, right? You're looking at that like,
That's right.
I was wearing that when they're catching up.
They catching up. And now everybody is wearing bling glasses, or they got bling glasses.
Yes.
Look how long I've been blinging.
Yes.
I've been blinging.
Right.
This is not new to me, but it's new to them. Like people wearing glasses with rhinestones. I had glasses with rhinestones in high school. I mean, I used to glue them on with glue. That's how I used to do it. So, it's wonderful that, we can be ourselves and have our own style and be able to share that kind of with the world, and don't apologize for it. Don't apologize. I love the way you are. I love your outfits. Every time I see you, I never forget. Like I say, we saw you on her 25th. You always look nice. You always have something unique on, and I've always admired your style. And I always say to myself, "Oh, he's a king of style." And that's my, I always give somebody a nickname, and that's always been my nickname for you. And I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your schedule, because, people are busy, and I appreciate, and I don't play with their time. So thank you again, Jonathan, for, just taking the time to take this interview with me, because I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you as well. And before we close, I've always admired you from afar. And we have a mutual friend, Princess Jenkins. And I remember the time when she were doing various classes. And I sat in on one of your classes that you were talking. It was sort of like a master class. Do you remember when you were?
I remember.
And I sat there, and I'm like, sat there, and I was in awe, and I really got to really hear you from just seeing you, but then I was actually hearing you and then knew a little bit about you, and I just loved you even more. I don't know if I ever told you that. That class was just really insightful, and I admired you and loved you even more after that. Because there's a difference of when you see people. People have their perceptions of what, and especially, look at you.
Yeah.
You come with this thing, like you would think that you would be the ultimate shady diva. Oh, darling, I don't have any, because you give off very grand damn. But that's not who you
really
are.
Down to earth. I'm so down to earth.
I know.
I am so down to earth, so willing to help people, always willing to anything I can do, and that's just my heart, because I would love people to feel like that about everyone.
Yes.
We should help each other. We should see if there's something I can do that is helpful to you, then I should help you. We're all, trying to make it as entrepreneurs or business owners. So
yes, absolutely.
So thank you so much, Jonathan. And I can't wait to see you again with some of your fabulous outfits. I appreciate it.
Likewise.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the amazing king of style, Jonathan Bodrick, born to style, here with me today. Fashion Avenue News, where only the best will do. And we'll see you next week.